Getting ready to take on spring? Make your first move with the reliable performance and power of Steel battery tools. From hedge trimmers and mowers to string trimmers and more, right now you can save $50 on select battery tool sets. Real Steel. Offer valid on select AK system sets through June 16, 2024. See participating retailer for details.
Is your body trying to tell you something? Tiredness, lack of focus, trouble sleeping, bloating? These things can affect your quality of life. That's where Symbiotica can help. The supplement brand is made with quality ingredients, free of seed oils and shady additives, and they taste delicious. The time to feel better starts now at Symbiotica.com. Use the code IHEART to get 20% off and free shipping on your subscription order. That's CYMBIOTIKA.com. That's Symbiotica.com.
I'd like to start off by congratulating the Staten Island Giants, the 18U girls that won the NFL flag championship in Canton, Ohio this weekend. It was a really cool event. I actually got to go over there. My son played in the tournament too, so what the league's doing with flag football and seeing the boys and girls and the excitement that was in Canton was pretty cool. But just want to start off by congratulating them on their championship, and with that we'll open it up to questions. Yeah, those are pretty easy ones because typically they're going to be coming back sooner than later. A lot of those, and they understand if they're on PUP, typically they're not ready to practice. So those conversations are pretty easy, and we communicate that with the player, and then work through the trainers and what the process will be to get them back on the field.
How do you look at Evan Neal's future here now? He's obviously is on PUP, and you've talked in the past about how he needed to get on the field.
Yeah, it's not going to affect. He's got to get healthy. Then we'll determine all those other things will take care of itself. Right now we're focused on him day by day. He'll be off to the side. The training staff's going to ease him back in there, and then how he plays and his contribution to the team will take care of itself from there.
Joe, how far away is it? Is this somewhere it's just a week?
He's not far. Yeah, he's been working hard all summer. He's been doing everything he can to get back on the field. And again, he's gonna, we're gonna communicate with our trainers and strength staff, and when he's ready to go, then he'll be out there.
Is the intention to give him the first crack at that right tackle spot?
Yeah, right now the focus is on getting him on the field, and then we'll see where we are. Once he's healthy and able to practice, then those things will take care of themselves.
Did he have a setback in the spring? Is that why you guys dialed him back a little bit?
Yeah, I'm not getting into the specifics of the injury. Again, he was working hard this spring, and again, he's going to continue to do that. And again, he's not far off. He's not far off from being out there. So again, he's going to do everything he can, and he has been doing everything he can, to get back on the field.
What about?
Sorry, I know you kind of got to ask this, but would you consider working him at guard and looking him at both guard and tackle?
I'd say right now, right tackle. So today you'll see we're going to put Illuminor out right tackle. So yeah, today. So actually for the next however long it takes Evan to get back, and then we'll revisit the situation. Yep.
What about Daniel? What's obviously has he been fully cleared for contact, like 11-11?
Yeah, he's ready to go.
What's your plan for him this summer, like health-wise? Kind of like, is he full go 100%, or do you kind of plan to hold him, at times, keep him out of stuff?
Yeah, I think we'll take it, as we go. So he's getting all the reps today. He'll get them with the ones every day. If we need to pull him back for whatever reason, maintenance, then we'll talk about that, after every practice. But right now he's will be in there every snap that the ones are in.
Yeah, and Jordan, we got to see how the body. We don't know. In spring he didn't do team drill, so. He's 8 months off of it, so we're going to work with him, and he's got to communicate with us on how his body feels, how the knee feels, and that'll determine how much he does moving forward. But the plan is to be full go.
Brian, you mentioned that Jermaine's going to play right tackle until Evan comes back. Is there a chance that he performs well enough that the job is his, that he can?
Yeah, I'd say it's day by day. So he's going to go in there. If he plays well, he keeps playing well. We'll see. We'll revisit it when Evan gets healthy. I don't want to make a decision, the first day of training camp. But, he's played well at right tackle. He was at Las Vegas, and, he'll get in there. And we thought that'd be the good move to go ahead and push him over to right tackle. He took a ton of reps, obviously in OTAs. The big thing with the offensive line is, we've shuffled guys in and out the last few years for the competition part. If we can get 5 guys as quickly as we can going, that's what we'd like to do.
So you're saying that Evan's not far off, but you're also saying you're putting Jermaine, who's been all spring at left guard, at right tackle. So I'm trying to figure
well, he played right tackle all year last year.
Right, it just seems like a drastic change in the plans. If Evan's
I can't tell you. Yeah, sure. It could be sooner, it could be later for Evan, but he played well, and we thought that was the right move to make, to move him over at right tackle, and we'll see how it goes.
What about the plan for guard now that you're moving Jermaine over to right tackle? Are you going to move John over to left guard, or are you going to just rotate guys in there and figure it out?
Yeah, so Stinney will be in there with Runyon, obviously AT and John Michael, and that's how we'll go at the start of training camp. And again, Patty, we'll revisit this, daily, but the more you can get the guys playing, we have a new offensive line coach. Feel good about the guys we have.
Is that the same process with the secondary, making sure these guys are able to communicate as one as you move forward?
Yeah, but there's competition. It's training camp, so you're not getting ready to play, next Sunday. You let the process play out, you compete it out, and then you make a decision on who you're going to play.
Joe, we saw you on Hard Knocks last night recapping your conversation to Chris Mara that you had with Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Going through the process, which is what you said you told Daniel, is a little different than trying to actively trade up on draft day for the number 2 or 3 pick. Like Buffalo or Cincinnati, those teams go through the process of evaluating quarterbacks without actually being aggressive about trying to get one. So what do you say to Daniel now about your confidence in him after obviously trying to make a move?
Yeah, no, I understand your question. I think they did a good job last night. That's legit the conversation I had with Daniel. So I think we communicated with Daniel throughout the process, and you go through the process, and we went through that process not knowing Daniel was going to be here today and full go 100%. You're trying to make decisions. You don't have all the answers. We didn't know that he was going to be healthy today, and we don't know what it's going to look like tomorrow. He's 8 months off an ACL. So you go through the process, and we had a thorough process, which I think they did a good job of showing. And if you're comfortable making a move and it made sense at the time, then that's what we would do. Whatever's best for the organization, which we talked about several times in there.
I think it was the first episode you said this is the year when you find out if he's the guy. Is it disconcerting at all that you have that feeling after you guaranteed him $82 million a year ago?
Yeah, I think the context of that conversation was coming off of, again, these are small snippets and thousands of conversations. So within the context of that situation and the way the contract is structured and the way last year went, I think that's a fair assessment that we need better in 2024.
Joe, one of the first decisions you made when you were hired was to not give Daniel the 5th-year option, correct? And that put him on edge maybe, or it was certainly a prove-it year for him, and then he stayed healthy, you made the playoffs. So for both of you, do you think Daniel, knowing what can happen next year as far as contractually, knowing his health, knowing that the team did try to, explore trading up certainly, that he will have more of a incentive or an edge, more so than he usually does this year, because he knows it is another prove-it year for him?
Yeah, Paul, these are professional athletes, so I think, this extra motivation or quotes or, bulletin board material, I'm not necessarily buying into that all the time. I think these guys have gotten where they've gotten in their careers as athletes because they're competitive, they're self-motivated, they're driven, and I think Daniel is all of those things, and I think of all the guys on the team, he probably does the best job tuning out the noise, and I think he's wired for the position in terms of those traits that I just said and tuning out the noise. And he's been busting his tail and doing everything he can do to get back on the football field. He's a great teammate. He's a leader, and I'm excited to how things go this year if he can stay healthy.
Brian, do you think, as the coach of the player, do you think a guy with a little bit of an edge, maybe more so, prove it kind of thing, can be helpful?
I think it depends on the player. So I think you'd have to ask DJ, but he's intrinsically motivated. We meet every day. He'll be ready to go.
Joe, I know it's day one of camp, but we won't talk to you again for a long time. So we've seen in the, around the league the last couple of years where injury guarantees have factored into quarterback, playing time. Mm-hmm. Is that something with Daniel that would enter the equation for you at any point?
Yeah, a little bit like what Dave said with Illuminor. We're going to go day by day. We got to see how this knee's going to react. He hasn't been full go, so those are conversations way down the road. We're going to go out and see how he does today and how it reacts each day, and hopefully he can stay healthy again. I'm rooting for the kid. He's done everything he could possibly do to get back on the field and put himself in this position today, 8 months off of surgery. So again, we'll take it day by day with him and see how the body reacts.
Do you intend to practice any differently than you did last year as far as how you prepare the team for the season, whether it's when you put them in pads, how many guys you play in preseason games, or do you intend to kind of keep it consistent with what you did last season?
Yeah, no, we switched, as you know, quite a bit, I'd say, in the OTAs. There'll be some differences throughout this training camp, and you lay out the plan, Pat, you schedule it all the way through, but just like we talked about with the players and things like that, you have to adjust based on who's injured, who's ready to go, how much pad work we do. We'll talk about the preseason when we get obviously closer to the preseason, have an idea, but we'll sit down as a staff, we'll talk about it. But certainly there's changes every year. There's changes from year 1 to year 2, there'll be changes from year 2 to year 3. You just do what you think is the team needs.
It looks like you have a lot of 3 days, 3 days off, 3 days off, 3 days off. What's your thought process behind doing that more often?
Yeah, well, again, when we sit down and we develop an initial plan for training camp, there's multiple people involved. Aaron Wellman has just come in. He's done a fantastic job of kind of overseeing in the area of the practice and some of this stuff, sports condition-wise. So, it was a collective effort. Listen to the advice of some of the medical people. There's been a lot of research done in terms of drills from the NFL and getting injury data. So, again, we just sat down, we iron it out, and then we put together a plan, and then you adjust the plan based on how it's going.
Ryan, have you made a decision regarding play calling?
Still working through that, but again, I'll be doing the same thing that I did in spring. I want to go through the whole process of a training camp and a preseason game and things like that, but I'll be signaling into the quarterbacks with the walkie-talkie.
As we begin camp, what are you most excited about with regards to your running back room?
Yeah, there's a lot of young players. Obviously, Motor knows the system. He's been with me for a while, and there's a lot of competition in terms of who that next guy is going to be, or the next guy, or what role they can carve out for themselves. I know they're hungry. They work really hard at trying to pick up everything, and excited to see these young guys battle it out.
Joe, I know it's kind of two different timelines. It's what we're in now, but also what's unveiled Tuesday nights, and Hard Knocks is months ago. But I just wanted to ask you about the Burns acquisition, because we've seen more details about that play out last week. When that was going in, I mean, is that really the first time that you've had to deal with not only the trade negotiations, but also there was the contract added to it, and the fact that how did that play out over the 24 to 48 hours, and how did you know finally? I mean, did it play out in real time the way we saw it, that you really didn't know if something was going to get done until you got that phone call?
Yeah, and again, I think they did a good job. Like, Dan and I are obviously really good friends, have known each other a long time, worked together, and we had those initial conversations at the Senior Bowl, and then the Combine. We talked, we had some texts back and forth, and things picked up. But basically those cameras in my office, there was somebody, I think it was a tight end room or something, manning the camera. So I didn't always know when somebody was down there. So what took place was Dan and I had been going back and forth, like days leading up to that on draft compensation. And probably Sunday night before free agency at 6 p.m., Dan's like, all right, we're close enough on draft compensation, and go ahead and call Burns' agent, and you guys can start negotiating a contract. So, the cameras weren't around for that, and that's where, I give a lot of credit to Kevin Abrams and Ed Triggs, because, that evening before free agency, I went to bed at 1 a.m. Kevin was up until 3 a.m. trying to hammer out the deal. So when we come in that Monday morning, we've got parameters in place for the contract. Okay, we've got that part done. Now we need to shift back to Dan. Okay, we're good with the contract on Burns. Now we need to come up with, what's the draft compensation, and the goalposts were moving a little bit from what they were the night before. So we, that's why it went on into the day. But I wish, the one thing out of the show I wish it could have shown is a little bit, the work that Kevin and Ed do, and the negotiations with the agent, and how that goes down, and the hard work that they put in to, bring those deals to the finish line. They did a really good job, and, Kevin did a great job on that Burns contract.
Brian, what are you hoping to see from Malik this training camp? From Malik?
We're going to use him in a variety of spots, keep learning and growing in the offense, do what he needs to do each day in practice, do the things he needs to do outside of the building. compete his tail off, which I know he will. Looking forward to watching him.
Can I go back just to Evan just for a second?
Sure can.
Thank you. These guys have a lot at their disposal in terms of care, ability to train, and everything else. How are you still in a position where this guy can't even start a season for you when that surgery was, I believe, still when snow was on the ground?
Well, I don't work in the medical field, and I think every player reacts to injuries different. So whether it's Evan or somebody else that's injured, I couldn't say for certain, like, this is the exact time. I think the timelines, you can't give a
concede it's been a long time.
You can't give a concrete timeline, though. You know, Daniel's 8 months on an ACL, and he's playing. Everybody reacts different. He's doing everything he needs to do, and when he's ready to go, we'll put him out there.
What's on the topic of injuries with Aaron Robinson? What's been going on with him?
Yeah, he's still trying to get back. Again, speaking of timelines, like, you don't know. You know, everybody reacts different. Like, we had my first year here, I think we had 6 guys with ACLs, and you guys saw Wandell at the end of the year, you know, against that Green Bay game. I think he hit his stride. He didn't play the first couple of games. So every injury and the way the body reacts is different, and, you know, the individuals have to deal with the medical, and we don't know how they feel, you know, coming off the injuries. But, you know, we're rooting for A-Rob, obviously. You know, started some games early in our tenure here, and, you know, we're just waiting for him to hopefully get back. And back to Evan, again, like, started 46 games at Alabama. He's still a young kid. He's 23. He'll be 24 coming up. You know, he had the sprained knee his first year here. Came back early from that. You know, fought through the foot injury last year. So, you know, I think he's a tough kid, and he's doing everything he can, you know, to come back. And I think it's legitimately something that he needs to continue to work through, and hopefully it'll be good here soon.
Speaking of injuries, Theo Johnson, I think, has a hip issue, and is there anybody else that maybe you'll hold out for the first few days of camp because they're still recovering?
Yeah, Theo should be back soon. He should be back. So you'll see him on the side. I don't anticipate him being out very long. You know, Jalen Mills is in the same boat. Stanley Oliver as well. So none of those guys I anticipate being long term that I just mentioned.
It seemed like
the Hard Knocks shows everyone about you and your process.
What do I hope? Say that again.
The show Hard Knocks shows about you and your process that you may not know.
I mean, not so much about me, but I think that there's a lot of, I know there's a lot of talented people in that building, and whether it's my leadership team and Brandon Brown and Chris Rossetti and Dennis Hickey and Tim McDonald and Ryan Cowden, that Ed Triggs and Kevin Abrams, which I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of talented people in that building, and I don't have all the answers, and my ability to go in and speak with, you know, a lot of guys that are very bright, and women. Hannah Burnett, you know, another one of our area scouts that does a phenomenal job, and then having a great relationship with Daves and his coaching staff, and to be able to communicate and collaborate on decisions that we make, because it's not easy. At the end of the day, you saw those decisions aren't easy, and somebody has to make them at the end of the day. But you know, to get everybody's input, everybody has different experiences, whether it was different teams, you know, Brandon Brown with the Eagles or the Colts, or Chris Rossetti with Miami, you know, whatever it may be, and you lean on some of your experiences. I've been in this situation before, and this is how it played out, or this is what we did, maybe we should do it different. So you know, again, it's these decisions, there's a lot of thought that goes into it. So I just think, you know, the collaboration amongst the staff, and just, you know, the talent that's in that building, that, you know, the guys that work for me and the guys that work for Dave's, you know, I think it was good for the world to see that.
Every time. Darius Slayton said recently that this spring he would have welcomed a trade if he wasn't going to be either a bigger part of the offense here or paid like it. Obviously, you adjusted the contract. Just wondering now, as we sit here at camp, like, have you put that kind of part of the conversation to bed, or if he doesn't factor as a primary receiver in the offense, is that a consideration that? Yeah,
when he came in, we had a conversation, and that was never an option. He was a free agent 2 years ago, and 32 teams had a chance to get his services, and he came back here, and, you know, I believe we gave him the best deal at the time, and it was a 2-year deal, and you know, we had a good conversation, and you know, he understood where we were, and I understood where he was coming from, and, you know, we put it to bed when he showed up in the spring. So,
Joe, every time you drafted the last couple of years are in line for big roles or bigger roles, like, how important is it going to be for those guys to take the next step, and just what's your confidence that they will?
You guys were doing well. I mean, it's always important to have young guys contribute because again, the salary cap, which you guys see, and how we spread it around, and some of the players that we are paying. It's important to have those young contributors, and I think coaching wise and the staff wise, like the ability to develop young talent is important. So those guys are gonna have bigger roles, and it's hard to believe that some of the guys in our first draft are going into year 3, and some of those guys are gonna have really big roles. Micah, Wandell, Kayvon, Evan when he gets back, Flott. There's some guys competing for some spots. Dane's competing for a spot. A lot of playing time. So I'm excited for those guys to watch them mature and again assimilate into the culture that we wanted to build here, and now they're the flag bearers of how we want to do things when the next class comes in, and they've done a really good job of leading and showing this rookie class how we're going to do things. So again, that takes time to build that, and the way that we want to do things, and I think that first rookie class that we have done a really good job of leading, and they will have a big contribution.
Every time we see you guys talking to neighbors on the show, you're asking about his hot temper, or your scout is saying there's a lot to his personality. Now that you're around him, how much of a concern is the temper on the field and his personality off the field?
Yeah, I don't have any concern with Leak. I like his mindset. Again, he's got a lot to learn. He's a rookie, so let's not, he's going to work hard. He did a really good job in the spring. Love him as a person, love his competitive fire, and glad he's on our football team.
He's still 20. He's still 20 years old.
You guys are entering year 3 of your regime with you two, kind of what you're trying to build here. I wonder where do you consider where you're at this point, and what are your expectations for year 3? What would you be able to build here, culture-wise?
Yeah, sure.
Expectations for the season?
Yeah, for us, it's let's get ready for training camp. Look past, look forward. We have those conversations, but our mindset is we're happy that today's here. We get to start our first practice and start competing out to see what our team is going to look like in 24. Have a lot of confidence in the people in our room, and excited about getting started.
Joe, what do you think ownership's expectations are for this season?
I'll echo what Brian just said. We're trying to get through day 1 practice, and there's I don't know how many practices we have in camp, but there's a team building, roles, jobs, scheme that's all going to be developed throughout this year. So again, the good thing with ownership, we have great communication. We talk every day, and they understand where we are and what we're trying to do, and that's the focus right now is today. And we're going to continue to build this thing, and best 11 on offense, best 11 on defense. What they do well, that's what we'll accentuate, and that's what we'll build around.
Dave, with what you went through at quarterback last year, with playing the 3 guys and a guy like Tommy who didn't get first team reps until he was actually in position to start. Do you handle your quarterbacks any differently this summer? Getting guys ready, getting guys prepared, knowing for the worst case scenario that happened last year?
Yeah, I would say that the fortunate part is, again, it was OTAs, but a guy like Drew and Tommy got a ton of reps with a lot of different players, the 1 receivers, the 1 tight ends. That was valuable for those guys. But you only get so many reps each day, and Daniel will get all the reps with the ones. We might throw Drew in there just in case Daniel's shoe falls off and we got to throw him there without Drew knowing. But you meet, like last year I talked about, meet with DeVito from training camp all the way on, just one-on-one meetings, because you never know, and sometimes that's how they get their reps mentally, going through the film, talking through things, reads, intent of the play, protection adjustments, no huddle, formations, leadership in the huddle, play call, and you get a feel for, even though he's not out there with the ones, of some of the things that they like, because not every quarterback is the same. None of them that I've been around have been the same, and we've always adjusted to the quarterback spot. So again, valuable for Drew, valuable for Tommy, and now this will be a valuable time for DJ here, getting back out there, feeling the rush a little bit, albeit no pads and things like that right now, which is, it's similar to OTAs for the first couple days, based on no pads and things like that. But the juices should be up, and those guys will get the reps, with the 1s, with the 2s, with the 3s. And then there's other things you can do, walkthrough wise, again, meeting wise, communication. It's such an important position to really identify their strengths and some of their weaknesses. And I value the quarterback's input a great deal. And the last 4 quarterbacks I've been around, we've we've done a little bit different with all the quarterbacks, and then throw in the two guys last year that were the backups. It was all a little bit different. So, that's how it'll be this year.
Following up on the expectations for 1 second, how fair is it in year 3 for you to be expected to compete with the top teams in your division? The Eagles, I know you beat them at the end of last year, and the Cowboys, they've had the better of you for the better part of the first 2 years.
Yeah.
And then not just them, but also the top teams in the NFC and even the league.
Yeah, I'll just fall back to it's first day of training camp. Get out there on the grass and start competing.
On the lighter side, with all the football questions, you're coming into training camp. How much lighter are you? You have new sets of clothes and all that?
40 times.
I do. I go to this carnival every year back in Buffalo, a town called West Seneca, where I grew up. I got 30, 40 friends. They kind of know my weight history, Tom, where it goes up and goes down. I mean, there was a season in Cleveland where I lost 112 pounds. I didn't lose nearly that much, but last year I kind of lost a bet with one of my best friends who got tattoos everywhere, rides motorcycles, didn't graduate from high school. He's taking a trip down to South America on a motorcycle by himself, going all the way to the end and all the way back. And he had to kind of take care of things this year because that was the main goal, to beat him. So it started with the staff and the weight loss challenge we did, but my buddy Marty, that was I'm glad he had to take care of the things he had to take care of, not me this year.
Is your body trying to tell you something? Tiredness, lack of focus, trouble sleeping, bloating? These things can affect your quality of life. That's where Symbiotica can help. The supplement brand is made with quality ingredients, free of seed oils and shady additives, and they taste delicious. The time to feel better starts now at Symbiotica.com. Use the code IHEART to get 20% off and free shipping on your subscription order. That's CYMBIOTIKA.com. That's Symbiotica.com.
In every pair of Tecovas boots, you can expect handmade quality, first-wear comfort, and timeless Western style. Tecovas boots are always made from premium bovine and exotic leathers, and with occasional resoling, they will last a lifetime. The best way to shop for boots is at your local Tecovas store, where you'll be greeted by the smell of fresh leather and a friendly smile. Come on in, grab a cold one, get fitted by a pro, and shop the latest styles. Visit Tecovas.com. That's Tecovas.com. And don't go gently, y'all.